Welcome to the Kinected Podcast, where we shine a spotlight on the incredible members of our connected community. I'm Brent Fessler, your host, and each episode, we're diving into the stories, expertise, and passions of the innovators, the entrepreneurs, and change makers who make Kinected so special. Our goal is to inspire collaboration, spark new connections, and drive business opportunities within our community here at Kinected. So today we're thrilled to introduce Mitch Southard with
Executive
Technologists. It's like, man, I had it right as we were going in there. We'll probably just edit this in here, okay? Today, we have Mitch Southard with Executive Technologists with us today. Mitch, thanks so much for joining us. Let's get going.
I'm as thrilled to be here as you are to have me.
All right. That's fantastic. Let's get started. Can you tell us about yourself and your journey to where you are today in your business or profession?
Yeah. So I like to tell people that I am semi-retired, which is a very great place to be.
Does that mean you're semi-working when you're here?
That does mean I am semi-working.
Okay,
yes.
Fantastic.
My wife and I owned an IT services business. I started it, more than 30 years ago in a spare bedroom in our house. We grew that business for a long time. It was very successful. We exited officially in 2021. We sold that company to a larger IT service company, a managed service provider here in Texas. My wife retired kind of immediately, fully retired. I stayed on with the acquirer for 4 years, trying to make sure they didn't screw things up, try and help them build a great company. And at the end of 2024, I kind of gave up on that. And that's when I went into semi-retirement, but I still had things I wanted to do, some opportunities I still wanted to pursue. And so I started up Executive Technologists to allow me to do as much work as I feel like doing. That's great. Without having to work full time.
It's a little questionable how good retirement actually, should be.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I know people that tell me it's terrible, right? Because, they become bored. Yeah. And I know people who say, I've never been busier than when I retired. But I think I've hit the sweet spot where I work as much as I want to work, and I get to play as much as I want to play without all the stress of owning a multi-million-dollar business.
Well, I want to be like Mitch when I grew up. Mitch, what inspired you to join the Connected community, and how has being a part of it impacted your work?
So the first thing was my wife did not want me working at home. Mm-hmm. She, after the 4 years, she got used to me not being around, and she said, no, if you're going to be working, it's not going to be here. So I had to find some place to work. I originally
and the first 7 places didn't let you in.
Well, I thought that I would find some office, where somebody, they had extra space in their suite. Yeah. And then my wife, in her wisdom, said, "No, why don't you go to that co-working space and see if they have an opening?" Right. So I came over here and I talked to Natalie, and she gave me a nice tour. And I said, it would be really nice to be around people, right, and not just siloed in a little office by myself. Mm-hmm. And I have found that to be a wonderful thing, to just not, even though it's, I'm working for myself, by myself, to not be alone while I am doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And some of the people here are decent too, which is great.
Everyone so far. I haven't met anybody that wasn't decent.
Yeah, that's great. Mitch, what's the core mission or unique value of your business there at Executive Technologists, and what problem are you solving for your customers?
So, being semi-retired, my ambitions are kind of low, right? I consider it my mission to curate kind of a small group of C-suite clients. Now, C-suite could be an independent owner of an IT service company, right? Because I've traveled that road and I can really show them where to go. Or it could be even a very large company, but they need help in their IT department, right? And those unique skills that I bring to the table are, special training and talent in, first of all, technology, of course, but then also leadership and organizational health.
Nice. Fractional CIO or more just advice?
I will do that work as long as it's not too much.
As long as it's not too much.
I will do fractional CIO, CTO work for somebody for a limited period of time.
Very, very small fraction.
Yes.
Can you share a success story or a project that you're particularly proud of that showcases what you do?
Yeah. There's one that I just really love. I was engaged by, it was a nationwide company, thousands of employees. And the CEO of that company, who I had known many, many years before, came to me and said, my IT is screwed up, right? They would do employee satisfaction surveys, and the IT department got the worst scores in the whole company.
Yes.
Yeah. So he engaged me in a kind of a consulting arrangement to come in and evaluate things and do some mentoring for the leadership there. And matter of fact, the leader ended up exiting.
Yeah.
And so I helped them find a new leader, and then I worked with that person for about 6 months to optimize the IT department. And they did another customer satisfaction survey, and the IT department was the best performing department in the whole company.
Well done. That's got to feel good.
It did. It felt really good. Now, I can't take credit for all of that. I mean, they hired a new leader.
Right.
We worked together. He had to do all the heavy lifting, right? But I certainly feel like I had my influence in that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what a high impact way to use all the experience that you've built over the years. I mean, you paid a dear price for the experience that you have, and to find ways to directly benefit others with that, so that they don't spend 30 years of their own time trying to earn that experience. Yeah. Mitch, what's one thing that you wish more people knew about your industry or the work that you do?
So it's actually kind of a follow-up to what you just said. Okay. And I told you that, all the heavy lifting had to be done by somebody else in that previous success story. But I realized that part of what I do is I call it pebbles and pokes. As a matter of fact, I just wrote a blog article on my website for this.
Nice.
Is that sometimes all you need to do is throw a little pebble in the pond, right? And see where the ripples go. Okay. Sometimes they go where they're supposed to, and it creates something that's transformative. Sometimes it doesn't go where it's supposed to, and you gotta do a poke.
Yeah.
Right. And leaders, I feel like, what you do doesn't have to be out front, right? You can accomplish quite a lot with a pebble or a poke.
Nice. I like that. Or a punch in the gut.
Sometimes the poke has to be a jab.
A jab.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. And sometimes that jab and poke comes from the environment, like technology shifts like AI and things like that. That's a great, probably another podcast, but important for leaders to embrace some of the disruption that comes, because it's going, those ripples from that help you see.
Sometimes they're a tidal wave.
Yes, that's right.
Somebody threw a big rock. It wasn't just a pebble.
Yeah. Mitch, have you collaborated with other Kinected members? And if so, how did those partnerships come about? And what was the outcome?
I can't say I have yet. And I'm going to emphasize the yet, because I can kind of foresee some.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. So there's an invitation right there. So with that in mind, what kind of collaboration are you most excited to explore within the Kinected community?
So first, I'm going to say that I have kind of a hobby business where I do voiceover work.
Nice.
And I've done some, narration of PowerPoint presentations, training courses, stuff like that. And I'm currently doing an audiobook for an author. But I have found that my little sound booth in my office is only good for kind of short auditions, maybe, or some short narrations. It doesn't work for anything that's longer. And there happen to be some people here and Kinected, NateGunnStudios, Creative Kind.
That's right.
I may be able to partner with them to do some of my better work outside my little studio. I would also like to say that I told you that part of what I do is organizational health consulting.
Yeah.
And in the Venn diagram of organizational health and flourishing, there's a big overlap, right? And I'm kind of looking forward to the ways that you and I can collaborate.
Would love that. We'll have to go get coffee. I know a place. How do you see your work contributing to the broader goals of the Kinected community? I know you just touched on that a bit.
Yeah, it depends. I am these days I thrive on reflected glory, right? Yeah. I am not really I love that. Dirty hands kind of stuff anymore. But I love, I feel like my motto is, that I want to make other people's star shine brighter and fly higher. I also like to say that I exchange favors and I like bartering. So if there happens to be some need around here, I love to do that kind of stuff.
Love that. Well, I mean, I love that term, reflected glory. Can't say I've heard it a lot, but I love that and resonate with the overall connected mission here. We can't take credit for a lot of things, but we do want to create the environment where people will flourish more here than somewhere else. They're doing the heavy lifting.
You got it.
It's their DNA. It's their sowing. It's their efforts and things like that. But as much as we can create that ecosystem for them to connect, and that's really the purpose of this podcast, is to help the members of Kinected understand and get to know each other, so that you're like, oh man, I had no idea that's what Mitch did. I saw that guy talking into his microphone
what's he doing
all the time. All right, hopping in his phone booth, and he never comes out with his cape on. But I am definitely fulfilled when I get to see connected members here in the connected community thrive and flourish. And I know it wasn't my doing, but I love to see it, our friends here, our community members thrive. So I love that.
So before you leave that topic, I think a really important thing that I have learned on reflection is that very often the people who are benefiting from the environments you've created, they can't even pinpoint it. They can't even put their finger on what it was that helped them. It just happens.
Yeah, it does. And sometimes it's little bits of 12 different things.
Yeah.
A little bit of caffeine, a little bit of art, a little bit of smile. There's a lot of little things here. Mitch, what's a lesson that you've learned in your career that you think others in the community could benefit from?
Honestly, I'm going to say I already gave it. Okay. Right? Is that the power of a pebble or a poke?
Nice. All right, so go poke somebody today, or launch a pebble somewhere in the pond where you're at, and pay attention though. So you're in tech, IT, and that's a space where AI is especially living. What's one trend or innovation in your field that you're excited about right now?
So you already said it. I've got to say AI. I was one of those people who expected it to move, even if rapidly, that you would have time to accommodate yourself to it. And for most of the populace, that's true.
That's kind of how the internet was. As fast as it moved,
yeah, right.
We had some time to absorb it.
But it is happening far faster than even I expected. One of the things that I do is I facilitate a peer group, a nationwide peer group. And I have been amazed to see what the people in my industry, the IT services, managed services industry, have already done with AI, and how a single person can do it, right? A guy who's an owner of an IT service company, and he has like 2 employees and then, half a dozen contractors. And so by himself, he's gone out and created AI agents that handle all of his incoming service request flow.
Nice.
And it's by himself, right? One guy using AI tools. It's amazing.
So they're using it internally for their own, which I would imagine be a prerequisite if they were going to then support their clients and customers with the same kind of thing.
Yeah, they kind of eat their own dog food or travel that road ahead of their clients.
Yeah. Well, so technology is changing a lot. If there's one piece of advice that you could give to someone wanting to get into IT or tech, what would that be?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that I'm seeing is the disappearance of entry-level jobs, right? That companies they don't need to employ entry-level people because they can use AI to supplement their more senior people.
Interesting.
So the trick for someone, if you're a young person, and there aren't very many entry-level jobs, what that means is you have to start sooner, right? You need to be actually working while you're in school so that when you're done with your education, you're going into something that is not really an entry-level position anymore, right? Your training needs to be higher and bigger, and you need experience before, graduation day.
So find ways to get experience onto your resume before you graduate? Internship, summer jobs.
Free or paid.
Yeah. And is that like tech support kind of roles, or what where do they start looking for stuff like that?
The kind of roles typically are going to be getting real work done. I'm just going to say, for example, that companies that do, they do their own marketing, right? They're not going to employ copywriters anymore. They're going to employ people who use AI to generate the copy, right? So young people can learn those skills so that they can start doing that work right away for their internship.
Yeah, I love that. In general, I encourage young folks, whether in high school or college, just look around, get used to looking around for needs and whatever people need. And if there's something, even if it doesn't feel like it's right in your industry, find a way to start fulfilling those things. Because just working in an organization, even, go work at Chick-fil-A and lug around big frozen bags of potatoes just to learn how to work with people. Because often that's some of the experience that people are looking for. If I know you're going to work well inside of my team.
Yeah, I don't want to stray too far from what you just said, but it is really important is that there's job skills.
Yes.
But that there's also just life skills.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many employers will say that, even despite what I just said about entry-level jobs, I wish I could just hire people who would show up on time, be reliable, show up every day, be dedicated, have a good attitude, right? I wish I could just find those people, and then I'll take care of the rest.
Right. Yeah. No, I like that for sure. Well, if you could have any Kinected member as a mentor or collaborator, who would you choose? And
I've already told you, and it's that Venn diagram of organizational health and flourishing.
All right.
It's got to be you.
So let's go.
You buy the coffee.
You bet. Okay. You got it. What's something surprising or unique about you that most people in the Kinected community might not know?
Yeah, this is going to be totally off the wall. And it is not just people in the Kinected community, just like most people in my life do not know this. But in a past life, I was Alexander the Great.
Okay.
At least according to Pat, the girl who sat behind me in the 8th grade who fancied herself a psychic. She put her hand on my forehead one day and told me that, in a past life, you were Alexander the Great. I later reflected that was not such a great thing. He died at the age of 33, an alcoholic. And I said, I'd rather do something different with my life.
Okay. Well, at least you learn from that. So if your business, then staying on the lighter side, if your business had a theme song, what would it be and why? It
actually was the theme song for one calendar year at the company my wife and I owned, and I've kind of stuck with it. And it's Smash Mouth All Star.
Okay.
Right? You got to that verse is, get your game on, go play, get the show on.
There you go.
Get paid.
There you go. Yeah, I love that. Get your game on. That's also another episode, but I love the idea of knowing what game we're playing. Not just getting excited to get excited, but if you know what game you're playing, you can get excited about going and winning that game. It doesn't mean you have to compete against other people, but you know who you are.
And it can change over time.
It can.
Right. Absolutely. I started out as a solo IT guy.
Yeah.
And then I started hiring employees. And at some point along the way, I realized that my game was building a great company. It wasn't just, providing great services to clients.
Yeah. I love that. And before we leave that, I would challenge each of us to, on our game scoreboard, whatever that is, make sure there's people on there somewhere. That your mission as a business, we need our financials, we need our sales, we need all those things on there. But if people aren't on there, whether inside people and customers, vendors even on there, it is so much fun when you start putting those on your scoreboard. Because often those are they're the most meaningful scores in the long run. When you look back on 30 years after you've been in your business.
Just finished watching the recording of the Flourishing Symposium that we had here. And I also almost finished leading a workshop on leadership and organizational health. And so I'm going to say is that on your scoreboard, there needs to be the values that you talked about and the people, right? And those two things are going to drive the organizational health that will lead to business success.
Absolutely. And I appreciate hearing that from experience and not just from theory. So thanks for sharing that. All right, Mitch, how can listeners in the Kinected community connect with you to learn more or to explore potential collaborations?
First, I'm in 125.
All
so
right.
125. Currently, I might have to move because of that recording problem, but I'm currently in 125.
All right.
My email address is ms, short for Mitch Southard, at executex.com. And it's important you spell it correctly. EXECUTECHS.com, because there's an exec tech and an exec tex, and I'm Executex.
Right.
And you can find the website also is www.executex.com.
Executex.com.
Executex.
You need a song. Executex. Executex.com.
One thing I'm not good at is singing.
All right. Maybe we can collab on that one. I'll write to your own theme
can't.
song. The Executive Technologist anthem. All right. Are there any specific projects or services that you're currently offering that you'd like to share to the Kinected community?
Not anything specific. I'll just restate that I am open to doing bartering and exchanging favors.
That's what I was going to go with. All right. I love it. Thanks, Mitch. So that's a wrap for today's episode of the Kinected Podcast. A huge thank you to Mitch Southard for sharing the incredible story and insights with us. So if you're inspired to connect with Mitch, you heard his website, www.executex.com, and his office right here on the first floor at Kinected. So come by and explore opportunities to collaborate. And to our Kinected community, keep building those connections and driving impact. We are truly better together. To learn more about Kinected, you can go to www.kinected.work. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast for more inspiring stories, and we will catch you next time.